Hello and welcome back to Vintage Treasures, and today I'm going to continue a series I started a lot earlier in this channel. Matter of fact, it's so new that I've only shot and put out one episode of this. It's a bit like figure review, but more about the box art, considering that these figures are carded. Now, I do not have a huge collection of vintage Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles carded figures, but what I do have is pretty good. I think I showed off Apollo 11 Donatello, and I'll show that at the end of the video. I'll give you a it'll show you at the end, little video, and you can watch that after. But yeah, we'll look at this. So these are both later figures, and I picked these up at the mid-range of how expensive figures ended up being. In the early 2010s, I want to say around 2010, the figures were dirt cheap carded. I mean, the figures were dirt cheap back then because this whole collecting thing wasn't really popular. It was not in the mainstream. And I personally didn't get into it probably till 5, 6 years before it became mainstream. So stuff was dirt cheap back then. It's hard to get exact prices because it wasn't documented perfectly. But I found a couple of videos on YouTube. I'll try to get them on my channel on a playlist eventually when I get around to it, so you can watch them as well. And I found this guy who had some carded figures. He picked up off a lady for $5 a piece, I think it was. Don't quote me on that. It was cheap considering what the prices are now, and to set in stone how expensive these really were. There was a variant Ray Fillet. I think it's a variant of Ray Fillet, carded, and it was $25. And he was saying he was paying up for it. And if you're a carded toy collector nowadays in the Turtles line, you'd know you'd pick up any figure for $25 carded. You just don't see them anymore like that. They don't pop up as much either. They are common. If you were to go on eBay, you'd find some, but they're just not as plentiful. And especially with these late lines. I picked these up after that first era. Sadly, I missed it. I picked this one up and that Apollo 11 Donatello for just $40 for the both of them. 20 bucks each, and yeah, I got them in probably, I want to say 2018, so pretty close to when they spiked. Now these guys are pretty late. We'll get into the date of this one right here in a couple of seconds, but just look at this card art real quick. We have, of course, the bubble, and the later figures had some little art of the toy and some, tell you what it does. The bubble on this one's larger because the figure is larger and has a mech suit. Then we have the lovely card. We have painted detail, and it was overlaid with the logo and all the information for the figure. It advertises that it's 2 toys in 1, which it is, but we'll get into that a bit later. Packaging, not much to really say besides that on the front. On the back, we have a back you don't see a whole lot. Now looking at this figure, you can see a little bit at the bottom right here. Looks like our last date is 1995. So somewhere around there probably. Maybe a bit later even. So yeah, somewhere around the last years that we had running on this. We have a Metal Mutant Cycle, which I believe is a repaint of the movie 3 motorcycle. And we have Shredder and the Turtles. I don't hear about these a whole lot. It's crazy. They are later in the line, with the coil force and all that. But if we look at this, we can see his parts come off. So this would be hard to track down if it's not carded. It'd be hard to get complete. I do see that this is shiny on here, but the final version is just a solid gold-colored piece of plastic. and we get a description on all of that. If you want to, you can pause that and read it. We have them next to each other. I will not be opening this up, so yeah, that's what they look like side by side, which is pretty cool. And that Donatello, I don't know, this has to be a pretty rare toy because I don't see it pop up a whole lot. And we have our pizza points for, and then it even like advertises collectors. They were doing that since the beginning of the line though, so it's not really anything special. Yeah, it's a great figure. It's not too expensive. I mean, I found one on eBay for about 120, something like that. I'm not sure exactly. For this Donatello, it's not in mint condition. I got this one only a couple years into collecting, so I was new to cards and I didn't know how to treat them. I didn't know how to clean them, and you know, they just got some damage in there. Sadly, nothing too bad. I had a bit more practice with the 2015 release Reproduction Bebop and Rocksteady. Those are in such bad condition, I don't even think I'll do a review on them. I might. If you guys want it, I'll do a review on them. But, yeah, looking at the toy itself through the bubble, you can see that, yeah, that's not actually shiny plastic. They changed it. They did it with a lot of the prototypes. If you look at Buzz Off, I think that's the character's name, right? Buzz Off and Needle Nose. They have chrome. Well, I know that. Yeah, they both have chrome wings, I think, on the back card prototype thingy on the back. And they obviously have translucent plastic wings on the final version. We have some instructions in the back, and this chrome. Let me tell you, if this thing was opened, that chrome would not be in that condition. I don't think I'll ever open this figure, just because of how good the card is. I mean, let's get a side profile of that. Not the best card I've ever seen, but definitely pretty straight. Not a lot of creases. And honestly, it looks like, I don't know, it looks relatively new. It still glimmers in the light, as you can see. My ring light is shining quite reflectively off this glossy new card back, and it looks brand new, honestly. Yeah, so pretty nice toy. If you can, I've never seen one out of the package. I mean, I haven't like looked in depth, but I'm sure there probably is some. Yeah, but I've never seen one out of package. And that Donatello's pretty cool. Let's look at it again. Donatello right here. He doesn't look like he needs the mech suit to look cool, which is nice because usually when you do that, you compromise him having to hold the parts. He has bits of plastic sticking off, and yet he does, but they're concealed pretty well. Also, you know, the point that you get a whole nother toy inside of this is just crazy. Yeah, and one thing I did notice about this card actually is this looks a lot like the later line. I don't know when it was released, but it was after the next mutation. It was early 2000s one. That looks awfully a lot like that version of Donatello. And he wouldn't come out for another couple of years, so I thought that was interesting. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing to the channel. Post videos about Turtles, Ghostbusters, G.I. Joe, about He-Man, and I just love vintage toys. I've been collecting for a good amount of time, and I like to show it off on this channel. So if you're interested in seeing more of this content, subscribe so you can stay up to date on the videos. And yeah, have a great rest of your day or night, and goodbye.